Storytime with Forrest.
Hi. So, the year is 1992, and the year will actually become important in a minute. I always preface this fucking story with saying halfway through, you're going to think that I'm full of fucking shit. Hear me out. Wait till the end, because I swear to God, halfway through, you're going to be like, dude, you're fucking making this shit up. Just like, okay, hear me out on this. So, I'm not going to use any last names for, plausible deniability, because, if nobody wants the story to be out, like, I'm sure, like, oh, that could be any Pika. So, so anyway. God damn it. So the year is 1992. The year will become important in a minute. So I was in this band Spring Voodoo in the late 80s, early 90s. And I think at this point, Donovan had already taken off. Anyway, my guitarist at the time was Danny. Could be any Danny. But he had his grandfather left him a house on the beach in Ensenada. And he's a fucking surfer, right? So he'd fucking just take these little surf excursions and go to this fucking house in Ensenada and go surfing. Here's the thing about Danny. I fucking love Danny to death, but he's a flaky motherfucker, like in ways that, like, okay, kids that are listening, back in the days before cell phones, before caller ID, before anything like that, everything was done landlined. And this was an actual conversation with Danny. One time he calls me up and he goes like this, like, dude, Forrest, you gotta fucking come to this party, dude. It's fucking crazy, dude. There's fucking hot chicks. This one girl's asking about you. I can hear him be like, no, I'm fucking talking to him right now. Yeah, he's on the fucking phone. Dude, you gotta fucking come here. And he fucking hangs up. I'm like, where the fuck are you? There's no caller ID. There's no fucking, like, I have no fucking phone number to call back. And the next day he's like, why didn't you come? Like, where the fuck were you? Right? So that's good. But he's also the type of person that, like, he would get in weird trouble. Like, this never happened. But, like, if he literally called you up and he was like, dude, the Russian mob's after me. I need a place to hide out. You'd just be like, I didn't know the Russian mob was in Oxnard, but sure. Like, you wouldn't even, like, second guess it. You'd be like, all right, whatever. Anyway, when I was a kid, because my dad was a fucking hippie, there was a place that we used to go camping in Santa Barbara. It was the Little Caliente and Big Caliente hot springs. And there'd be naked hippies and stuff. But I remember, like, as I got older, I asked my dad, like, where the fuck is this fucking place, right? So I started taking friends out there. And we're getting ready to fucking go out there. It was me, Travis, who was also in Spring Voodoo, and Pika. No last names. And we're getting ready to go out. Dude, we bought fucking beer. We bought acid. And we're getting ready to go to the hot springs. Boom. Landline rings. Answer is Danny. He's like, dude, I'm in fucking trouble. I'm in Mexico. You guys need to fucking come get me. And we're just like, well, fuck, I guess now we're going to Mexico instead of the hot springs. Because it was cool because we were already set to, like, take a little vacation. Yeah, we're already good to go. Yeah. And he's like, you guys need to come get me. And I swear to God, dude, I'm like, we'd never been to this house. It's like, well, how do we get there? Word for word, verbatim, this is what Danny said. We're going to another fucking country. No problem, dude. Just take the fucking 101 to the 405, dude. Take that to Ensenada, dude. You'll see a fucking gas station. I'll be at the bar. That was fucking it. We are going to another fucking country. 101, 405, dude. Gas station, bar. I'll be hanging out there. I'll go there in like 5 hours or so, dude. You'll find me. So once the phone hangs up, that's fucking it. There's no cell phones. There's no nothing. So once he fucking hangs up, that's our fucking directions. We're fucking heading to Mexico. 101, 405, gas station, bar. That's literally our fucking directions. We're like, okay, well, let's go. So me, being smart, I'm like, dude, we can't fucking take drugs into Mexico. Let's drop the acid now. we don't want to go across the border with drugs. So let's drop all this fucking acid. So we dropped the fucking acid. And that's why I'm not using last names.
It's too late for that.
So we start heading towards fucking LA. Here's why the year is important. Acid starts to kick in. It is day one of the fucking Rodney King riots. Dude, we're going through fucking Bosnia, dude. There's fucking like fires and explosions and fucking sirens and shit. Nobody's on the fucking freeway except for fucking us, dude. And it's like we're straight driving through a fucking war zone and we're fucking flipping shit, right? Travis had this old fucking pickup truck with a camper shell, doing 80 miles per hour, getting speed wobbles, hoping to fucking get pulled over by the cops, frying on acid, just like, just get us fucking out of here. Like, we're flipping fucking shit. Like, we're straight driving through a fucking war zone. We get out of fucking LA and we're like, we're cool now, right? Everything's cool. So we get to Mexico. Here's where you're gonna be like, you're full of fucking shit. Hear me out. So we get to the Mexico border. So heading from the border to Ensenada is a long, desolate stretch of highway. There's really nothing out there. By this point, we are fucking peaking on acid. Like, we're fucking frying balls. We go in, all of a sudden on the side of the road, it looks like it's been there for a long time. It's this wrecked, dirty fucking car on the side of the road with these stiff, bloody, rigor mortis body parts hanging out of the fucking window. I'm like, there's fucking dead people on the side of the fucking road. And everybody's like, holy fucking, we just went through fucking Bosnia, right? Now there's fucking dead people on the side of the fucking highway in Mexico. We get a couple miles up the road. There's an overturned car with stiff, bloody, rigor mortis body parts fucking hanging out the window. And we're just like, dude, there's fucking, I'm seriously just like, dude, if we wreck the fucking car, they're just going to push us off to the side of the road and just fucking let us die. And we get a little fucking further up and there's another fucking wrecked car. And okay, long story short, I don't know how the fuck we did it, peaking on acid, and we're freaking out, dude. We went through Bosnia and there's dead people over fucking Mexico. And well, there's the gas station, right? And we fucking pull in. We go in the bar and there's Danny just sitting there fucking drinking a beer. And I'm just like, oh, dude, so we fucking went through, there's fucking fires and explosions, and there's fucking dead people and fucking cars. And he starts fucking laughing. It was an anti-drunk driving campaign the Mexican government was doing. They were taking wrecked cars from junkyards and putting mannequins in them. Every 5 miles for like 100 fucking miles, there were fucking stiff body parts hanging out of wrecked fucking cars. So yeah, that was like, oh, after all this fucking shit, like we literally thought it was the end of the fucking world. So we go through Bosnia and there's dead people over fucking Mexico. He's fucking laughing at us. I'm like, so dude, what's going on? I'm like, what's wrong? Dude, everybody from the beach found out I was out here and they came out just been partying too much and you go home. And we're like, fuck you, dude, you're staying for another week. So we just partied in Mexico for like a week after that. And that is literally just the beginning of that story, which I want to turn into a graphic novel at some point.
Oh, dude.
That was great.
Excellent.
Sorry.
You're good.
Help it.
Cool. So on this pod we have Becca. And Becca, what's your last name?
Porter.
Becca
Miller.
Porter. Yeah. And so this pod has been severely lacking having any sort of female representation, and it's kind of embarrassing. So I've been trying to track down some female perspective on things. I did want to have Kim Possible on the Shea Cafe episode, but Spencer talked me out of it, so get mad at him. And yeah, so now we got Becca, and Becca's super old school.
Old.
No, old school. See, that's like the respectable way to say it, right? What year did you get into punk rock?
79.
See, that's about as old school as it gets.
Yeah.
Huh? Were you into what music struck you before that? Like, were you into music before punk, or was punk your first? Like,
No, my dad was a huge Janis Joplin fan. So I grew up with Janis Joplin, who I think was probably the original punk rocker.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So we listened to.
Jack is terrible.
It is terrible.
I'm trying to get it off.
It's pretty bad with your beer going against it. It's worse than the paper on the.
Wait, give me something.
Source of the Taco Day burrito wrapper. Okay. All right.
We good?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense, though, right?
Yeah.
Because Janis Joplin, total counterculture.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And then when we were, oh God, what did we listen to? KBBY.
Which is a station based out of L.A. or Santa Barbara or
I
Ventura?
don't know. We got it in Ventura.
I think it
and
was
then
here in Ventura,
Cammy
but-
T, Huya, Tuya.
Okay.
And I don't even know. Like, I think I remember the year before I wanted a Tom Petty record. When Tom Petty's record first came out, I got that. And then
Still a good choice.
I got into Elvis Costello and Devo,
Cool.
Joe Jackson.
Okay.
And when I was in 11th grade, I think that I had already pretty much deviated from whatever that was, and was listening to a lot of the different newer stuff that just whatever. And then we went to, I think this was in 78, because we went on, my brother and I, this story's ridiculous. My brother and I joined a Christian campus life group so we could go to this ski trip to Utah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm not hating on it.
wait.
I'll tell you two things.
Right. So I got sent home, basically.
Okay.
But we went, and on the way there, I just remember I had is that me? I had a,
No, it's the idiot that's hooked up to the Bluetooth.
nice. I had a cassette player, the little flat ones, and I had a cassette tape, and on one side it was the Cockney Rejects, and on the other side it was the Buzzcocks. And so I was already listening to that stuff, and I was a bunch of guys from Bonaventure.
St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, they're the ones that got me into punk rock. My best friend was, she went there, and I met those guys. They all got me into punk rock.
So cool.
The music.
So early.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what are the other stand-up bands at that time?
Oh, Sham 69.
Yeah.
Love the Buzzcocks.
So the older English stuff. But I
Yeah,
mean,
the good
that's
stuff.
what's happening in
Yeah.
79.
Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
The traditional stuff that was out.
Yeah. And you're a senior in high school?
I was in 11th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. By the time I was a senior, I was already way too punk rock.
Okay. And do you
It was a
remember
good summer.
Yeah. It was a great summer.
Do you remember the first show you would have gone to that was punk related?
I went and saw 999, and I still had long hair. And I remember Nick Cash pulled me up on stage, and I sang Homicide with him. And that was amazing.
So rad.
Yeah. And then we actually went to Ben Frank's and ate hamburgers with 999.
Sick.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then
And where was that?
I think it was at the Roxy.
Okay. So is that where those the English punk bands, when they came out here, they would play like the strip clubs?
Pretty much the Roxy, the Whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a bunch of I remember one of those guys from Bonaventure took me to see Sham 69 and the Dead Kennedys. And that was in December of 79. And that was the moment.
Yeah.
I remember it like it was yesterday. That was the moment that I went, this is what I'm going to do with my life.
Yeah.
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 Oh my God. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine.
So there was some accident or whatever. We were on the one, and it took us a really long time to get there. So by the time we got there, Dead Kennedys were already playing.
Mm-hmm.
The show was packed. It was like at the Whiskey. It was packed. And Jello dove off the stage, and all the people went that way. So we just swooped right up to the front.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, I still had long hair. I was whatever, little surfer chick. Woo! And I just stood there with Jimmy Percy's knees in my face. And when they did The Kids Are United and everybody was singing, I was like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were people up on stage singing it and stuff?
I don't remember if people were up on
Okay.
stage or not.
Yeah.
Everybody in the whole club was singing it.
Jesus, can you imagine seeing Sham 69 in
No.
1979?
It was really awesome.
Fuck.
It was really, really freaking awesome.
Even the legend Joe Rivas, episode 1, looks jealous.
Episode 1.
That's what these guys call me, the legend.
Nice. Well, the
Phantom
legend's
Revis.
fine.
Episode 1's making a run for it.
Yeah, I like that.
pretty good.
I like that much better. I was Zach's first guest.
Episode
So, yeah.
Nice. What was your first show?
My first show?
Yeah.
We tried to think about this, or I tried to think about it during episode 1, and I can't quite make it out.
Well, I don't know, man. I wasn't there.
Well, I figured it out. The very first live band I ever saw was Sirith Ungol on the Promenade.
They're practicing next door right now.
That's the first time I ever saw a band. And then the first concert I ever went to was, I guess I saw Neil Young at the fairgrounds before that, so I lied.
Ventura Fairgrounds.
I did parking for cars so I could get in for free.
Cool.
Even back then.
Yeah.
How do I get it for free?
That is really funny because
And then Sirith Ungol, and then I went and saw Devo
yeah.
at the Santa Barbara Robertson Hall.
First music I saw live was like Leo Kottke and
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
I've never heard of that. But actually, Sirith Ungol is practicing next door right now.
Yeah.
We were set up like in their
We were going to
space.
practice. We were going to do this over there.
Yeah, we had to move everything because they started jamming.
So
Cathartic.
they're back together.
Everything comes full circle back up.
You're here. They're here.
Yeah.
Bob was just here.
Nice.
It was so
Gnarly.
wild. I know. Yeah. So that's 79. I just it's so stupid. They have the fucking Spinal Tap shit. Oh, I gotta not look at
Perspective,
that.
we're in the we're in the captain's quarters recording studio right now.
Yeah.
As we're doing this podcast, and we're looking at stuff that's surrounding us, and Zach
Yeah,
is laughing at
thank
stuff.
you, Armand.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jeff, for yesterday.
Yeah. Anyway,
Jarvis.
Jarvis. Yeah.
So that's 79.
Janet.
And so you how big how big is your group of friends that you're going to shows with at this
Then?
point? Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. I'm trying to think. So I went I took a friend from high school who was not even into punk rock to go see 999 because she had a car. And then that guy took me to see Sham 69. I didn't have a car. I don't even think I had a driver's license yet. No, I didn't.
So you're just going with like a person. You're not going with like a
People.
crew.
No, and then I met. God, I'm so bad with time. I drank a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Party on, dude.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
That's okay.
I can't do timelines, but
Yeah,
I just
don't do
remember
it. Yeah,
I
don't
met a
do it.
whole bunch of people slowly but surely. Oh, from those guys from
Bonaventure.
Bonaventure, they started taking me to parties at Joey Pina's house.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there was like, Can I say people's names on the radio?
Yeah, of course.
Can I say your name?
Of course.
Really? Should I?
We gonna like Ismail and Brandon and those.
Well, as long as no one
Brad
stabbed
wasn't
anyone.
there.
Yeah.
So this is
Contrary to what Brandon Cruz says, he wasn't there.
so this is when you start meeting like the local people that are already into punk.
Yeah, like Joey and his brother Art and Mary and John and Carol and
Yeah.
the Scalons.
And is this art of Big Daddy-O's fame?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Becky Casson. Should I not say her name loud?
No. You
Yeah.
I don't.
So
This is-
Becky was my best friend at the time because when we were in high school, I remember she came up and punched me in the arm. She's like, I wanted to be the first one to get my hair cut. I'm like,
Because you
okay.
shaved your head.
No, I got a really bad haircut.
Okay.
Really bad. Yeah, it was really bad. I wore a hat for like a month when my mom finally took me to get it. It was really bad. Well, I had really long surfer blonde hair. And what's that guy's name? Steve. He was a tall guy and he had glasses. Anyway, he cut my hair and he took his time with it. Like he didn't just cut it. He
Yeah.
was cutting it. And so he took so long that I started freaking out because I've never had short hair in my life except for when I was a bald kid, baby. And and I started getting really nervous because it was about an hour in and I'm like, my hair was all gone. And so I told him we were done.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't take this long.
Yeah.
We're
And
done.
he fucked it up slow. How do you fuck
Well,
it up
no.
slow?
Well, he's
dude?
trying,
I didn't
I
let
think
him
he's just trying to
finish.
fix it the
yeah,
whole
half
time.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't let him finish. And so
Okay,
I looked like I had a really bad shag. Yeah, it was Carol Brady bad shag.
So
But it was like upside down.
did
Right?
did the Rotters ever come across your plate at all? Because they're like a 78, 79.
Can I tell a funny story about the Rotters?
I want to know
yeah.
everything about them.
Without throwing my friend under the bus, but I have a certain friend who's very small who lived in Pasadena. She said to me, we were living, it must have been 1980, 81, and we were living in Silver Lake, and she was like, or maybe I was at her house in Pasadena, I can't really remember, it was 80, 81, and she said, oh, do you know this band? They're from England, and she played the Rotters. She said on my face, Stevie Nicks, and I started cracking up. I'm all, no, they're like from Ventura.
Like Camarillo. Yeah. So, but they weren't a thing when you were getting
Well,
involved.
PJ was around. I didn't know the rest of them.
Yeah.
I only knew PJ because PJ was over at Joey's a lot.
Okay. Were they a little older?
Yeah.
Okay.
Old as dirt, I guess.
Well, I mean, they did 2 7-inches, right? They did one in 78, one in 79. And I'm just trying to, some punk bands put out a record and they're 14. Some people can do a record when they're 30. It's like I'm trying to figure out how old they were when they did those records.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Okay, so you start meeting all the people.
I know they were older.
Yeah, they're
Definitely.
older.
Are any of those guys from St. Bonnie's still around?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It was
just curious.
It was a phase.
I was just curious. Yeah. That's what I was curious about.
Yeah,
Are
no,
are
they got me into it, but then I think they got lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
They gave me one.
Yeah.
So
I definitely didn't have one at that time. I was a very confused little child. Well, I had culture shock. We had just moved here when I was 13 and, from Germany and from the military. So when we moved to Ventura, I had like major culture shock. Like we were no longer in the military. We were in some weird place where people not only it wasn't the military, they were just strange
yeah.
compared to what I was used to.
Yeah.
It just was weird. Mm-hmm. So I had a hard time navigating it, which makes perfect sense why drugs and alcohol were perfect for me.
And punk.
Yeah.
And punk rock, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first local punk show you would have gone to? Or
Like in Ventura?
yeah, like this area?
I think I saw Fear at the Mickey Moose. Or
what-
no, it was the Alley Cats. They
What-
played at the Mickey Moose upstairs on Main Street.
What? Okay, so
Which would have been like the Metro
1980 or something.
yeah, somewhere on Main
Club
Street.
Soda became Club Soda, that place?
No, it was on the right side.
Oh, then Nickleby's.
No, the other side. So
Yeah, Club Soda then. That was across the street.
Above
where,
Palermo's.
where, where Palermo's is now. It was above where Palermo's is.
okay.
Yeah. It became Club Soda sometime in the mid 80s.
And that's the place that used to be the Mickey Moose?
I think so.
Okay.
But you moved to LA in
quickly.
81ish?
No, 80.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mom wasn't very excited about 90% of what I was doing.
So she tried to get you out of town.
Oh, she threw me out of the house.
Oh, okay. She
Yeah.
chucked you out and then you
Yeah.
moved to LA.
Well, I wasn't coming home anyway. I wasn't going to school. I wasn't coming home. So I guess, she just said, if you don't want to follow the rules, get out. And I
Yeah.
said, bye.
Yeah.
And I remember in 1980, I lived in with my friend David Hooper. I wonder where he is. Anyway, I lived with him and his dad in Glendora for about a week.
Very sanitary place.
It was a really, actually, very big, nice house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember all my stuff got stolen out of his truck, all my clothes.
Nice.
So I called my dad.
Yeah.
My clothes. And he gave me $100 to go to the thrift store and get some clothes.
You can go a long ways.
Oh, totally.
I went to Let It Rock on Melrose and bought a pair of white Joe Strummer Creepers.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you keep going to shows. You don't stop.
No, I didn't stop. And then around, gosh, I guess it was, so I was hanging around, God. So I went to these, I was hanging around with over at Joey's house and that whole crew and Becky, and we ended up, we went to LA all the time. We went to probably every night to a show if we came home. And then I remember her dad put her in a mental hospital, and then she took off to San Francisco, and I don't know, just weird stuff going on over there. But we went to a party one time. Nice. What's her name? Whose house was that? It was up on Poli. Up. Oh, it doesn't matter whose house it was, but we went to a party and that's when I met Aggression.
Cool.
Yeah. And that was 1980, definitely 1980.
And had they just started? Did they start in 79 or did they start in 80?
Here's the weird thing. I used to go to the Endless Wave skate park,
Okay.
and my mom wouldn't let me skate, so they wouldn't let you skate without a parental consent. My mom said no. I'm still wait. Why would you not let me skate at this park?
Yeah.
But I used to watch these 3 guys, right? Mark Hickey and Bob Clark and Henry Knowles, and they all had really long hair, and I used to watch them skate because they were amazing.
They were good. All 3 of them.
They were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very, very good skaters. And I remember watching them skate that pool, and I was just like, oh, good. And I was like, can I just do the snake run? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
They're like, no, not without a parental consent.
Yeah.
So, and I guess I hadn't figured out yet that I could just sign that myself.
Sure.
But whatever, I was still a good kid.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Oh. Verity's got drinks.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
For who?
They're both the same, so they made it the same.
Hey, when we get to 100 Patreons, we will edit all this.
I don't, dude.
Does anybody want one of these?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's a pumpkin cold brew. It's got.
No, I got my my iced tea.
I just had half a cup. I'm good.
Some
No,
more
I'm good.
caffeine?
I'm caffeinated out.
So you met them personally at that time as well.
Well, no, not really. I just watched
You're
them.
just hanging and
here's
watching
the
them.
weird thing. So at that party that I met them, so Mark Hickey had on a Senior Lopez with the sleeves cut off.
Okay.
Right. I was cracking up. I just cracked up. And then Bob was just big and had a leather jacket on and a bald head, and Henry Knowles was just Henry Knowles. And I remember thinking, oh, look at the big guy. Because I always liked big dumb bald guys. It was just it was my problem.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Actually, I was going to join the Marines, and they asked me why, and I told them because I like big dumb bald guys. And the guy said, "Oh, you know that you don't get to be with the men." And I said, "Oh, I'm not in. I'm not joining. Why would I not? What?" Anyway, that's a whole nother little story. But so at this party, everybody was really drunk. No way. And even Kevin Lumberg was there, and Neil Jitsu. Somebody got their head. Somebody put their head. I think it was Mark. Put his head through someone bet him a dime that he couldn't get his head through the things, and then they said, "I'll bet you a quarter, can't get him back out." And his ears were stuck, and we literally had to, call the fire department to have him open with a jaws of life to get his head out.
Mark Hickey?
Yeah, It was hilarious. You have pictures of that party. Anyway, so something happened, and I don't even remember. Bob was all drunk and took off into the ravine, and I was like, I'm going to save him. And I went and got him, and I don't even know what happened with that, but he ended up being my boyfriend.
Oh, so you started dating Big Bob. Mm-hmm. In 1980. Mm-hmm. So you got to know the guys pretty well. Mm-hmm. So we don't
Yes.
need. We don't.
They introduced me to many things in my life that took me on a very bad path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to dive too much into that. Although
you.
it is interesting.
It's part of your story, though. But
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed about it. It made me who I am today.
Yeah.
Is
but
what it is. Shooting up at 17. What's up?
But it is cool that you know him in 1980 because it lets us get a perspective on the very early, the first one after
Yeah.
if you want to
I
count the Rotters
actually-
as the first, Aggression would be the second.
Yeah.
And-
I count Aggression as the first.
Just do Aggression as the first.
And that's because the Rotters were from Camarillo.
Agreed. Agreed.
Sorry.
We-
It doesn't really
Seatown.
exist on the
Cambodia.
planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cambodia, exactly. No offense.
Well, we
Rotters.
try to be all inclusive these days.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. It just wasn't part of my story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, is Aggression already playing shows? Have they already played shows and so forth?
I don't remember.
Do you remember the first
I don't
time you would
remember.
have?
I know I have a bunch of. I literally have what? Oh yeah, nice.
Sorry, Becca.
That's okay. I have handwritten lyrics that Mark wrote. I have a whole bunch of stuff. I've got like punk rock
I
archives.
gotta see that stuff.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, I got tons of that stuff. But so I don't. They were writing those songs then. So
Yeah.
I guess they were kind. I don't know.
Well, someone got their head kicked on and came out in 81. I think.
Right, but I worked at BYO when that came out.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, so you were already at BYO when that record
Right.
came out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's 2, right?
What?
BYO 2. Is that the second record or the first record?
The first
It's
record
either
was
that
someone
or
got
the-
their head kicked in.
Okay, that's one. And then the U38 is number 2.
Number 2 is Youth Brigade.
Yeah. Cool.
Number 3, Aggression. Don't be mistaken.
Yeah.
Number 4,
Something to believe in?
no. Is it?
I don't know.
SNFU, isn't it?
No. Oh boy.
Oh.
Don't listen, Sean Stern. I don't remember.
7 seconds.
I was really drunk. I can't be held
get-
accountable.
We'll get Sean too soon. So, do you remember the first time you saw Aggression?
No. You mean naked? No, but the funny part
But are they
is
playing
wait,
parties? Are they playing clubs?
I don't remember. I
Yeah.
honestly have no clue.
Yeah.
But I remember how I made the connection that I knew that these were the skater guys. Is that I went over to Bob's house. His dad was amazing. Big Bob, Little Bob.
Little Big Bob.
Little Big Bob. But his dad was amazing. But I remember going over to Bob's house and seeing a picture of him with his golden long flowing locks skating that bowl. I'm like, oh my God, I used to watch you guys skate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
seemed
so
like-
cool. Then you put it together.
Yeah.
So you moved to LA and you start working at BYO pretty immediately?
Well, I went down with those guys to shows because by this time now we were a crew.
And your crew being
The Nash.
okay.
I was the Nash Gash.
Oh,
Something that now you don't want to really be super proud of being called a gash, but it was funny back then. So that whole thing was just a really interesting little thing. So Northern Area Skinheads, when Skinhead was a haircut, haircut, not a political power of whiteness.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is how we got the aggression symbol eventually, too. But yeah, anyway.
That's not how that symbol came
Well,
about.
that's what they say.
The symbol came about. Do you want to know, really?
Yeah, because they
Yes.
blocked out the N and SH.
Okay, so Phil, we used to call him Filipino. Phil. I don't know. Maybe that was his last name. I don't know. I found him on Facebook. But so Phil came back one time, or was it John Nobert? I don't know. One of those two guys came back. Maybe it was John Nobert. I don't know. But they're like, oh, the cops are looking for us. The cops are looking for us. So everybody's got to like whatever. And he took his jacket. Was it John or was it Phil? I feel like it was Phil. And he took a black pen and he crossed out he made a big block around the NA and a little block around the H and left the S that looked like a lightning bolt. Left it. That's where that symbol came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
Yeah.
jive with
so
your
then
story.
we all
yeah.
did it.
Yes,
so
it
then we
does.
all did it too.
Yeah.
Because, everybody had that on their jackets.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were the Nash.
Which is your crew out of LA?
No, we were from here.
Oh, from here.
Yeah. It was primarily the guys from Oxnard, Silverstrand, and me, and Becky. I think Becky was part of it, or she was gone. I don't know. It was just a strange. I think it was like everybody that was whatever, but some of us were a little more into being in it than others, I think. I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just delusional right now. But my memory of it is that like we would go in this white van down to LA and yeah. And going with those guys was great because people like X-Head and those idiots would always pick on me and mess with me and pull my hair. So I'd go tell Bob and, he'd go have a chat with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So by going to all those shows with your friends, that's when you met the BYO guys.
Right.
is what
So
you're
we
into.
were after a show one night, I ended up hanging out with this woman named Curry who was going out with Tony Alva at the time. And I used to be a huge Tony Alva fan. I was very excited to actually meet him. He gave me a skateboard.
Sick.
Yeah.
rad.
I don't have it. I was going to say I still have it. That's a lie. I don't have it. I sold it to go on tour Channel 3.
That's even cooler.
That's even tighter.
So you meet the BYO guys.
Anyway, so I went with this girl Curry, and we were going to go over to the Skinhead Manor, which was where they were, and I didn't know. I'd never been there, and so we were standing out front, and she took off, whatever, and I was like, "Wait, where am I?" and whatever, and so I walked inside, and I didn't hear anything, and I guess I went in the back door, and Eugene, hey, are you looking for my room? Remember weird little Eugene? He was in, oh my God, he was in, what's that movie with Decline of Western Civilization with the light bulb?
Okay. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you're looking for my room? And I'm like, oh, yeah, no. Right? And so anyways, and then Sean Stern comes walking up, right? And I don't know Sean Stern yet. And so I'm like kind of looking around, whatever, and he comes walking up, and I'm leaning against his door, which I didn't know. I was just leaning there, just kind of trying to figure out what I should do, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in some house, and I don't know where anybody is. So he comes over, and he puts his hand, like, over my head, and he leans in, and he's like, hey, did you want to come see my room? I'm like, no. I go, do you know where Big Bob is? And and he backs up. He's like, yeah, the aggression guys are all over there. It was funny, but that was my first meeting of Sean Stern. How he remembers it, I could care less, but that's actually what happened. And then I don't remember how we got friendly. I don't remember, but I know I knew him and Mark first, and I remember that they asked me if I wanted to work for BYO. And I think that I somehow or another, they asked me one time, like, I think I was always trying to get into shows for free.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
So what is BYO at this time? If it's before the record label, they're promoting shows.
The Better Youth Organization.
Yeah. Right. So
No,
what are they?
The Better Youth Organization.
Right. So what are they doing?
Bettering the youth.
Oh. Okay. How so?
Unifying them.
Okay.
Yes. Unifying the punks. Yes.
How?
Positive political movement.
Okay.
And
Sticking
the
to the
Northern Area
script.
Skinheads, the Nash was part of the BYO.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is why Aggression was on BYO.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Joe, take it from here.
Yeah.
So you're working for BYO.
Yeah. Somehow or another, that happened.
In what all through all your time with BYO, you did a lot of various jobs, shall we say, with them, right? So
Yeah. Well, so I started by, I don't even remember. I'm flyering shows maybe. And then they asked me to set up or work with and set up a mail order business. So I did that, the label. The first record to come out, the compilation came out. And so I think, so I used to go over to, so they lived in this house on Flores that had garages on the bottom and 2 apartments, and Sean lived in one and Mark lived in the other. And I remember handwriting record, the addresses for record
Yeah, to mail them out.
labels, on handwriting the labels,
Yeah.
and then packing those records together and mailing them off with a little, hey, this is our record and this is who we are, and play this on the radio.
Oh, so cool. Because it's so early. Like, there's no blueprint of what to do.
No, there wasn't. And what was really cool? I think that the coolest part is that people would call, right? Like, they would call and they just say, hey, who's playing tonight? Hey, like, what's going on? Are there any shows? Or it was just so word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I remember that, we would just call people and talk to them and just kind of, like, nobody knew what they were doing. We were all trying to figure it out. And that was the days, like, in that movie, they talk about it, but the days when people had calling card.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should address that.
the whole Sprint scam thing. Yeah.
The movie you're
I don't know anybody that wasn't doing it.
the movie you're talking about is the Another State of Mind documentary, which you were actually on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drunk off my ass.
And you never got to grow up and be a clown.
No. Thanks for pointing that out, though.
But
Yeah,
you did get a doctorate.
I did. I'm Dr. Clown now.
That rules.
Yeah, so that was. I'm upstairs and I was really hungover, and I was like, I'm not gonna drink today. I need to go back to Ventura. Blah blah blah. And I opened the fridge and there's beers in there. I was at Mark's house and there's some guy from Texas there who was driving me nuts. So I started drinking Mark's beers, and I'm like, well, I should clean his apartment. I mean, that's like the right thing to do if you're gonna drink all his beer. So I was doing the dishes and cleaning up and whatever, and someone knocked on the door, and they're like, hey, well, Sean said they're going to come for this key. And I said, okay, fine, right? And I'm looking outside, and there's all these people out there. Like, all these punks are showing up, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing, right? So I'm drinking beers and cleaning and listening to Flux of Pink Indians really, really, really loud. So the guy came, asked for the key. I gave him the key, and then I guess I was listening to it too loud, and they just kept coming upstairs and asking me to turn it down. I'd be like, oh, sorry, and I turned it down, and I went outside to see what was going on. They're like, we're going to be in this movie, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
sweet. Punk rock's dead. I totally remember that. It was like 1982, and yeah. Anyway, so they just, after the third time, they had to come up and ask me to turn down Flux of Pink Indians. They lie, we die, you know.
Yeah.
They said, do you want to just come be in this movie? I said, no, not really. I was drunk by this time.
Yeah.
And they convinced me I should come downstairs and they should ask me some questions. And the really good ones they didn't put in there. But the clown
not.
thing, of course, they put that in there.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Ridiculous. I
Come
was
on.
serious.
But it's
It was like
wonderful.
my embarrassing
Pretty
moment.
quotable.
I remember how I felt
Yeah. How did you
at
feel
the
first
premiere
Yes.
when they showed that movie before Tony knocked over the projector.
Tony Cortez?
Tony from the Adolescents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tony Ellis.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, he knocked over and broke the projector.
Oh, about
During
how
this-
far through the movie?
All the way. It was second showing.
Okay.
Second or third showing, yeah.
So you're watching the movie and your piece comes on.
I'm embarrassed.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed. My face is like this giant thing on the screen. I was like, oh my God.
It is a pretty tight shot. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, and my
Flock of
hair.
Seagull's hair,
Well,
yeah.
again,
Well, the hair is
I did
rad.
not have a Flock of Seagulls hairdo. What it
The
was
hair is
that
rad.
my hair was up, and I woke up and started drinking, and my hair was, that's sleepy hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not a Flock of Seagulls fan. Yeah, but no, I never lived that down. Still to this day, do I?
Nope.
Nope.
But it's great.
Me and Maddie, every time we see you. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. Flock of Seagulls clown lady.
Memorable.
That's my claim to fame.
You've seen us, Stu.
No, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll have to
Don't
watch
say
it.
I need to
Oh,
see
God.
it. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's an
And, you
amazing
know,
documentary.
And then the part where I say, well, it's not recommended for girls. That's another one of my favorite little
Wow.
things. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Well, you were there, and that's your opinion.
It wasn't my opinion. I was drunk. I think I was doing two things. I was trying to be funny and I was trying to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because punk rock was dead by that time. So why are you making a movie about it? It's 1982 for fuck's sake.
Yeah. It's the second wave. That's when all the good stuff starts.
You know, I think the Starwood was already closed, and and all the cool hall shows were not happening anymore, and it just got weird. It got huge. It got ginormous. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I remember every time you go to a show, there'd be like, first it was just like a packed club, and then it became like these hall shows. Well, the hall shows were actually during the same time, and there'd be so many punks there, and it was so awesome. And then they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I remember going to like the Palladium, and yeah, it was crazy. There were
Santa
so
Monica
many people
Civic.
there. Yeah, Santa Monica Civic. Oh, I saw so many good bands at the Civic.
So
Oh my God, I
pre
totally
like
forgot about that
the
place.
pre like the 90s punk explosion stuff, what do you think
Pre-90s what?
like I'm not including Green Day and the stuff in the 90s, but
Green
like
Day was a great band.
No,
when
no,
I
no.
first heard them at what's that place called in Gilman in
Gilman
San
Street?
Francisco? They opened for some band, and I was like, oh my God, it's Green. It's they sound like the Buzzcocks.
yeah. But my question is what year in the 80s do you think like punk was at its peak in LA?
1981,
81 for sure. Yeah.
80, 81.
And the shows are the biggest.
They were huge.
Then- all the way.
The Olympic Auditorium? What year was that?
I mean, there were shows there until 84.
The only time I ever went
That I
there was to
remember.
watch pro wrestling.
Yeah.
That place is huge. I can't imagine.
Oh,
I
those
can't imagine a show
catacombs
there.
downstairs. When you just go down there, and there'd be so many weird little bands like drinking beer, and I'd go into every one of them. Oh, talk to them, drink their beer, go to the next one, talk to them, drink their beer.
Yeah.
Someone's like, "Oh, how are you so drunk?" I'm like, "I just go. We find the bands. They got the beer."
Yeah.
I'm like, I figured that one out pretty quick. Oh, hang out with these guys. That's who's got the beer. Yeah, I wasn't dumb, dummy. Mama didn't raise no dummy.
Nope.
And you think it went strong through when do you see it starting to peter out? Like
Peter
86,
Potter?
86-ish?
You know, I hate to say it out loud because I love a lot of these people, but there was like this time when it started getting a little stupid and violent and gangy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that kind of started happening way earlier, but by the time, so it kind of started with like suicidal tendencies and TSOL. That's kind of, the TSOL people would show up with their faces white, and the suicidal tendencies people had an upside down cross on their face, and the mercenaries. And it was just weird and dividing, you know?
And you think that's around what year?
80, 81-ish.
Okay. So it's already starting then.
It's kind of like just before the whole BYO thing kind of started, I think.
Okay.
Or kind of maybe at the same time, or...
But that stuff lasted for years, right?
Well, then it started. I mean, there were like... I mean, there were always fights and, you know, people doing stupid things and stuff, but people started bringing weapons and knives and things, and then they started kind of ganging up, and that whole like 82 colors and all that weird stuff that punk rock wasn't, they were part of that too. They started, like there was a lot of, I don't really want to talk about who, but
Well, you don't have to say who. We're just trying to get an overall perspective.
there was some people who started some gangs for, you know, a lot of them were young kids and they were getting beat up, and I get it. You know, I totally get it, but I think it got out of hand.
Okay.
And then on both sides.
Yeah.
And the people involved kind of, in my opinion, wrecked the scene
Okay.
because it became way too violent. Like,
But do you
scary violent?
That's interesting though. I've never thought about that. Some of the gangs would actually be like they're banding together because they were actually singled out and picked on before.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them were.
Yeah. And so they're like, well, I actually want to be a piece of this. And if I'm going to survive here, I got to get my friends together and
Right,
defend
and that's
ourselves.
not what it was about, and that's
Yeah.
why it got so weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, like, you'd go to shows, and it
But
was
what-
just like these huge fights, and it was like, I'm not here to fight. I want to listen to the band
Right. But I
and
don't,
drink their beer.
but what, but I don't, what choice would those guys have had if they still wanted to go to shows and they were getting victimized? Like, that's kind of it, right? Like, band together and stand
I
up
don't know.
and,
Go to college.
well, right. If you want to still, I know, but if they wanted to still be in punk, that's just like an interesting thing to think about. I
Yeah.
think
No, you're right. It is.
that's
Like oddly inevitable.
I never thought about that. I would have thought, I just wouldn't have thought of
Yeah,
that.
and it wasn't everybody's experience.
Sure.
It was just these two groups.
Yeah, well, you know, when you talk to the Repute guys, they were able to go to LA a lot and not have to get involved in anything. And
Yeah, because they were awesome.
Yeah.
They're like the nicest guys in punk rock.
right, so there was a path to be able to go and enjoy it and not be.
Yeah, we had a house in Silver Lake, and we had an apartment. So they weren't mine, but I was a glommer on her. And those guys used to come play all the time. Actually, we had this house in Silver Lake that Youth Brigade and Social Distortion and MIA and the Tourists and Disability all played at our house.
So rad.
Yeah, we got evicted by Mayor Tom Bradley.
Hey, what a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really fun party.
Yeah, I bet. Well,
Yeah.
Joe, you got anything?
I got lots of stuff, but
What do you got?
so through the 80s, you're at BYO,
Yes.
and
Off
you
on.
worked at BYO until
I was 40.
mid 90s, right?
Yeah.
That's a long run.
Well, I quit 6 times and was fired 6 times.
So there's 12 lapses of employment with BYO.
Correct.
Okay.
And I worked at a few other labels.
Right.
But the weird thing is Sean would always call me and ask me to come back, except the last time.
Yeah. But what happened then?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. But
What's
what
the- what-
happened after that?
What's the best BYO record ever?
Someone got their head kicked in.
It's one of the best punk comps there is.
Yeah. And there's so many. You know what? I'm not even going to say that.
Yeah.
That's definitely the...
You know what's an overlooked one that I was so
The Good, the Bad,
I was
Argyle?
I was so disappointed they brushed over it on the Youth Brigade documentary. Was To Sell the Truth is like one
To
of the.
Tell the Truth is a great record.
It's amazing.
It's a
and
really good
and it
record.
got like totally brushed over, and it's like it's not their comeback record because they did Happy Hour right before it.
Happy Hour
but
is a
it's-
good record,
it's
too.
good,
Great
too.
song, Punk Rock Mom. Great song.
That's a good record, but to sell the
I wonder who that's about.
to
I
sell,
have no idea.
are you the punk rock mom?
I am the Punk Rock Mom.
Hey.
Hey.
But
Yeah,
to
I
sell
remember
the
when
truth,
Sean was writing that song, he's all, check this out, I wrote a song about you. And he starts singing it, and then he starts singing some more, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. He goes, well, this part's about my mom. I'm like, oh, okay.
oh man. But yeah, I think To Sell the Truth is like one of the greatest like second run. You know, a band that does a second run.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, only comparable
Well, Youth
would be
Brigade
like
was
the
always one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Like, they were just so powerful and so good.
Yeah.
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 For 3-piece through most of their career too, which
Yeah.
is just that's always boggled my mind that they always
Yeah.
sounded.
I remember
so-
sitting in their,
you know.
at their mom's house. They had this like room outside and had a loft, and that was like their little recording studio. And I remember sitting up in that loft and watching them write songs and asking questions. And they'd be like, "What do you think I did?" And I actually felt like I had some input. I don't know if they actually listened to me or not, but it was cool. It was very, very cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Super cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have you to thank for Youth Brigade, is what
No,
you're saying.
absolutely not. They did that all by themselves. No, but I just it
little
made me
shaping of
feel,
the song.
It made me feel part of, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do when you leave BYO? What's your next career?
The final time.
Yeah, after you left the final time. Do you stay in music?
No.
What other labels did you work at?
I worked at Fearless. I worked at Lethal. I worked for Revelation. Am I missing somebody?
Those are the 3 that I remember
Right.
that we've talked about in the past.
And then
Fearless, so you gotta grab me a Whitecaps test press. I'm just playing.
Yeah, the funny thing about working at Fearless
beer.
is I didn't know any of those bands.
Yeah.
And then when I went
Not
to
the best
Lethal,
label.
like there's a band called Recoil. I freaking loved Recoil.
Okay.
And yeah, that's how I got hooked up with Welt and Recoil, and I put them both on tour together because they both wrote records about this girl, the same girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, how interesting to send. And plus, I did a lot of drugs at that time. And I'm like, I'm sending those 2 out on tour, see what they come up with this, because they both were with the same girl.
Hash it out, boys.
Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't really.
on tour. That's like the worst.
And then when I started working at Revelation, I remember calling people. I was the sales manager, and I remember calling people, and they'd be like, "Oh, you don't know anything about any of their bands, do you?" I go, "Nope, not one thing." And they're like, "Oh, you don't even like hardcore?" I go, "No, I don't." I said, "I like that melodic shit."
Yeah.
Make a
But they knew, and I remember like I Fury 66 used to always tell me I didn't like their band. They were one of my favorite bands that I ever booked, and they used to tell me I didn't like their band, and I'm like, yeah, I do. And they said, but you don't like hardcore, and I said, well, I didn't think that you guys were hardcore, but I guess I don't know what hardcore means.
Yeah. They're pretty melodic, just right outside.
Yeah.
I think they're amazing.
Yeah,
I
I
love
know.
Fury
They were-
66.
And great live.
I wish I still had that first cassette. Anybody
Yeah.
got it? Do you have it?
We could. Mickey listens to this podcast, so we'll
Hi,
just tell him.
Mickey.
We'll just tell him to.
Mickey, I need
send you
a
one.
copy of that first cassette, please. Thanks.
Just send it to the legend Joe Rivas, episode 1, and he'll make sure Becca gets it.
What's up, buddy?
Cool. Got anything?
No. Do you want to talk about your afterlife career?
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's see.
This section is called Surviving Punk Rock.
Oh, do you want the whole
Coming
story?
out on top.
So I was in a really interesting relationship with a really interesting drug problem and a really interesting alcohol problem, and a kid who's amazing. Hi, Bash.
Shout out Bash.
And I was living in Orange County, and I always knew I should never have gone behind the orange curtain because I knew no good would come of it, and it took me out. I guess I'm not an OC survivor. And I ended up asking my brother if I could move in with him in Ojai, and I moved to Ojai, and I struggled, and I didn't know what to do, and I felt, I'd been fired for really, really icky reasons, and I, for the first time in my life, ever felt like what it feels like to know that there is no loyalty, and I thought that everything I had done for a really long time, I was just pretty beat down. My life has been a lie. And
You should have gotten into some of that hardcore shit. Every other song is stabbed in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been a good time. Should have explored that Rev catalog, man.
Yeah. I like some of it. I listened to some of it.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. So I ended up moving to Ojai, and then that was like around November of 2003. And then somehow or another I figured out around February of 2004 that I probably had an issue with drugs, alcohol, the whole shebang. And I'd been hanging around with some people who were clean, and we were on our way to punk rock bowling, and I just decided that if I'm going to do this, I'm doing it now. So we stopped at an AA convention on the way out to Vegas, and I actually stood up and identified as a newcomer at a convention on the way to punk rock bowling in
that is
Vegas.
Trial by fire. Huh?
Yeah. And I
Holy
remember
cow.
my friend, I just held on to her like nobody's business. And I'm a friend of mine who's clean now, Novak. He walks up to me. He's like, tried to hand me a 12-pack. And I was like, oh my God. It was just so horrifying. And, but I made it. I made it through the whole weekend. And so I figured if I can do that, I can do this. And so, I just decided that I just probably wanted to figure out how to get my life together. And that January, I actually started going to school. My motives at the time were completely all screwed up, but which is what kind of going to that school kind of led to, it was Oxnard College and the Addictive Disorder Studies program. And that kind of led to my decision to get clean.
Go Condors.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Woo. And then I ended up going to that school, getting a job at the methadone clinic, learning how to be a counselor, getting certified, going to work at adolescent rehabs, and just along the way, blah, blah, blah. I ended up working at the county, ended up working I just kept moving until I found places that I really wanted to be and populations I really wanted to work with. And I worked DUI to pay back all the, I'm doing amends for all the drinking and driving I did in my life.
Yeah.
And so I ended up 2 years clean being asked to go teach there. So that was cool. So I did that, and then they gave me another class, and so as an adjunct, I teach 3 classes a semester in summer school. Been doing that for the last 12 years.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then after I was hired, Bill Shilley, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, moment of silence. Okay, we're moving on. He suggested I get I had a bachelor's degree already. Don't remember getting it. We used to do lines on it. I know. I just don't. I got it from San Francisco State, but I really, literally don't remember getting it. Sort of. No. So he suggested I get my master's. He said, eventually you're going to have a full-time job, so you should probably get your master's. So we got you hired with the bachelor's degree, but you should go ahead and get your master's. So I did that. And then when I was done with my master's, I was like, well, hell, I might as well get my PhD. So I did that. And then full-time job came. I didn't get it. And so I started looking elsewhere, and I got a job teaching a substance abuse class at Cal Lu. And then I teach 2 biopsych classes online for Southern New Hampshire University. And what else do I do?
Shout out Southern New Hampshire, my people.
So
Yeah. Are you from New Hampshire?
No.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, though. That biopsych class is rad.
Yeah.
Because the brain, I'm a total brain geek now. Yeah. What else? So I have a PhD. I'm Dr. Becca. I got married.
How do your brain?
I got married.
How do
That's
your-
huge.
how do your
I
brain-
married a person who isn't into punk rock at all. Oh, yeah. He's the greatest person on the planet. Yeah.
That rules.
It's so amazing. Like you do everything right, and then you figure out who you are, and the world works out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his name is Ronnie Miller. Hence, my name is Becca Porter Miller.
Oh, you hyphenated.
Yeah. Well, I've
See?
been Becca Porter for way too long.
Yeah. It's awesome. I think that you should. It would be very interesting though, having your brain students know that you were the first person doing mail order for the compilation. Someone got their head kicked in.
Right? Yeah. My brain students. Yeah. I think that people would be interested to know a lot of things about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's kind of, when I worked at DUI, I remember I was sitting there doing a group and a guy walked in late and he's like, "Oh my God, you're that chick from Another State of Mind." And I was like, "Shh."
That's awesome.
My God, my counselor's that chick from Another State of Mind. It's like, oh boy. I guess Greg Graffin used to get that teaching at Cornell. Didn't he teach at Cornell?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have taken his class. I remember he liked rocks.
Yeah. I love Bad Religion, but I don't want to read his books.
He wrote a book?
Yeah, he does. He's just a smart guy, right? I think
He's always been a smart guy.
I think he released his dissertation. So
Mine is also released and published. You can read it on ProQuest.
see, there you go. Shout out.
Sweet.
Sick.
Mine's about addiction, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
not rocks.
What do you think?
Golden.
You got anything else you want to share with us, Becca?
Whatever you want to know.
I think
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed this. I think this was
Excellent.
great.
We got a great
Thanks.
hour and plus from you, so
52.
Oh, you can
Close enough.
get rid of all the garbage and keep all the good stuff.
No, I don't edit it.
No,
not
we're
not
gonna keep
until
it
I'm
all.
up to 100 Patreons. They got to suffer through all the bad stuff too.
Nice.
Joe, you can ask the golden question if you want.
what's that?
You can ask the golden question if you
Golden
want.
question.
This is a golden one?
Well, do you feel like you've been well represented?
Oh.
I suppose so, but not by President Trump.
On the podcast.
Can we please impeach the man?
They're working on it.
I'm
Maybe
sorry.
maybe by the time this actually is broadcast, he'll be out.
It's been a challenge for me to not do any politics on the podcast
Yeah.
because
I don't know why you don't. I mean,
Very.
like punk rock and politics go hand in hand. And I'll tell you, I've never been more horrified in my life than hearing actual people who are punk rockers backing this idiot.
Well, that's embarrassing.
You know it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my friends, don't get me wrong, and I'm not going to not like them because of their political issues, but damn, I thought people were smarter.
Well, I mean, there's very few things that most punk people can like agree on, right? And like, it has to be unity and anti-fascism and
Right?
anti-racism.
At least.
This is like, if like we don't do like that basic core, then like, I don't know, it drives me crazy. So, but I think we have to agree on those little things, like, if you're a racist piece of shit, get the fuck out.
Or a lying sack of shit.
Yeah. Or like,
Or,
You know.
Trump, I don't know.
yeah.
Like, I'm
One
literally
love.
freaked out that our country is so fucked up that guy became the president. Like, really? How did that happen?
That's yeah, it's scary.
Well, I mean, I know how it happened, and you know how it happened, and Russia knows how it happened.
Yeah. Well,
is that Ukraine? I don't
a lot of things lined up, and it's not good. It's not good, man.
it's not good. And
So, but things swing one way, and
Yeah.
things need to swing back. So,
Yeah, I opened a Twitter account just to fuck with him.
yeah.
Yeah,
See, that's positive.
yeah.
And I don't know. People just need to read a fucking book. You know,
Or a transcript. Oh,
Ooh. All right, let's wrap it.
okay.
Thanks so much,
cut
Becca.
all
Becca,
that
thank
out.
you so much.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you're so very welcome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was great. Say your thanks, Stu.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so very welcome.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, dude. I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah. Okay. So, what do you guys think? It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that was great.
Fucking
was a great interview.
Sick, dude.
It was all worth it to find out that Stu's favorite album of all time is Rock and Roll Nightmare. That made my day.
It's my favorite.
It's such a cool record to cling to.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And Becca was great.
Yeah.
And
Forrest, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dude.
We're gonna have to have Forrest on every time, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll just make that a part of it.
Yeah, he's the man.
Why do you think I love him? Well, being in a band with him, it's the best because it's just slapstick all the time.
Yeah.
The way he tells it,
Nonstop.
dude, is gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's buying the equipment for the show sucks, obviously,
Yeah.
we bought a fourth station
A fourth mic and
and it's like
headphones.
it
Putting out
it
money
sucks
for
and
this.
hurts.
Yeah.
But like seeing
Smash
Forrest
that Patreon.
smash it. But seeing Forrest is like the first time because people hit me up. They're like, "Oh, maybe like you should videotape it and all this." And I just think about like, dude, it takes hours. Like I joke about not editing this fucking show, but I still have to like get the files, put them together, like, and it's kind of a fucking process.
Yeah.
And like people just toss out there like, "Hey, you should videotape the pod too," and like. It just to me it was like, oh, I do not want to do that.
You want to
editing.
buy another piece of equipment to
I
watch
don't
three
wanna-
dudes like
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that editing.
we were like chilling on a Lifetime table that we bought from Costco.
We're gonna take back tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm taking it back tomorrow. And these chairs,
Tony, what's up?
but yeah, and then but where I was going with that was like I just wish everyone could watch Forrest tell a story.
Dude.
Because his delivery goes beyond words. He's a true character.
He's very animated and yeah.
Yeah. So maybe what we could I got an idea. Just keep smashing that button. We'll see. All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see you next time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Okay, man.